Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend, whatever you were doing, whoever you were with. I'm sure it was a lot of fun, unless you are a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and then holy cow, I hope you hid yourself all night long. Um, Not a ton of news, obviously, for the Packers heading into the next phase here of the offseason program, though we did hear from all three coordinators, Rich Bisaccia, Jeff Hafley, and Adam Stenovich earlier this afternoon. No huge earth-shattering news, obviously, but always good to hear from the guys, especially in wake of the draft, new additions, new potential entering the building, and, of course, get to check in and may have various developments, maybe some internal improvements, things like that. But again, no huge headline news coming out of those availabilities, though you didn't really expect there to be much earth-shattering coming off of that. One tiny piece of news is the Packers signing a quarterback, a Canadian quarterback named Taylor. Oh, I'm going to screw it up. Elgersma. We'll see if that's even close to correct. Canadian who did participate in the Senior Bowl, I believe the first Canadian college prospect ever to do so, where he worked with Jason Vrabel, Packers offensive passing coordinator, who got time on task and hands-on experience with the young prospect and got a chance to coach him up. The kid came in for essentially a tryout during the rookie minicamp last weekend and had been slated to visit some other teams. Most notably, the Bills were having a rookie minicamp this past weekend that he did not attend. He was supposed to at first, but apparently the Packers had him in for another round of interviews and then made the signing official today. Obviously, I don't expect this kid to come in and even win the backup job. I think that's Malik Willis's purview. But the fact that the Packers have added another arm to the offseason roster is notable and interesting. It's been a while since they've carried four quarterbacks into training camp, and this doesn't automatically mean they will. Obviously, there's a ways to go until we get to late July when camp kicks off, but it will be interesting to follow to see if he A, sticks around, and B, possibly displaces Sean Clifford, who obviously was released at the end of last camp and then came back as the on the practice squad. But we've talked a lot about Brian Gutekunst talking about wanting to get back to developing quarterbacks, and that had been in the discussion of selecting guys on day 3. But it doesn't matter how you get in the building; it matters what you do while you're there. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've broken down tons of this kid's tape, but I will say the little bits I've seen, most notably from the Senior Bowl, certainly seems to have what Matt LaFleur termed a live arm. Certainly got some zip on the ball and an ability to place it. And I'm kind of interested to see what happens here over the course of this summer, especially when training camp arrives, if he's still on the roster. See how he operates in this offense. Like I said, got a sneak preview, so to speak, with the involvement there with Vrabel at the Senior Bowl. It's always the talk that you want to add guys at the game's most important position and be able to develop them into something, anything. They're invaluable, as the Packers found out last year when they brought Malik Willis in the door and had him starting 2 games when they never expected that to occur. And look, we're a ways away from this kid contributing anything to the green and gold, but it's an intriguing signing, and it goes to kind of the mantra that Brian always talks about. It's a 365-day-a-year job. You're always opening and trying to look through and down every single avenue to acquire talent. This kid seems to have a little bit of talent, so it will be interesting to see. And who knows? He may end up, like I said, just playing up the string, and maybe he gets cut later this year and ends up with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who I know selected him in the CFL draft. But man, I tell you what, long NFL careers have begun in more kind of unusual ways than this. So I'm pulling for him, rooting for him, anxious to see him out on the field, slinging it around in a Packers uniform. We shall see. Hello, everybody in the comments section. So good to see you all. Everyone chiming in already. Stu, always here with football right off the jump. Appreciate you, man. Jason, Thank you for the super chat, man. Not a Packer question, but is New Orleans officially on the clock? Oh, that's a tough one with the retirement of Derek Carr. Who knows, man? Maybe that's the landing spot for Aaron Rodgers, and he goes on some magical run down in the Big Easy. But certainly, it doesn't bode well given their quarterback situation. I don't think anybody could look at who they have on offer and expect much out of the 2025 season. Now, I do also remember, and I'm not saying this is a direct comparison. I'm just saying you never know. I remember when Trent Green went down in the preseason and everyone resigned the Rams to the first pick in the draft. And, Vermeil sitting up there crying and saying, we're going to rally around Kurt Warner and we're going to play good football. And they did in an unprecedented manner. And the greatest show on turf was born. So, again, I'm not saying that they're going to go on this kind of run, but crazier shit has happened. So I just, yes, it's not a great situation down in New Orleans at the moment, but a lot of offseason and a lot of ball game left. Let's just say that. Autumn, thanks for checking out the stream. Thanks for the super chat. Am I alone in loving to listen to Halfley talk ball? I'm 100% engaged when he gives a presser. Yes, he is engaging. He is a very good communicator, and he does a very good job of telling you just enough from the football side to get you kind of invested and or interested and kind of understanding why they do certain things. But he never tips his hand too much, and he never kind of goes down a path where he's giving away information, right? It's still very much coach speak at times, but yeah, he's a very good communicator, and I feel like he's a damn good teacher. There was one practice last year during training camp where he was working with the defensive backs, which was not normal in the kind of day in and day out of camp. But he said, he wanted to take a day with the defensive backfield, just like the start of practice. And man, you can tell, obviously that's his bailiwick, right? That's where he made his bones as a up and coming coach. And you can tell he loves not just coaching, he loves teaching. And that to me is, a recipe when you have a guy who loves to teach and is an effective communicator. You get another year or two of effectiveness on the defensive side of the ball in Green Bay. Yeah, there's probably a decent chance he's out the door as a head coach. But we got a ways to go there. But I'm with you, Autumn. He is very, very engaging to listen to, and you learn something almost every time he speaks, which can't be said for everybody who takes the podium as an NFL coach. Joe, thanks for the super chat, man. How many wins does it take to win the NFC North this year? I mean, it took 14 last year? I don't think it'll be that, but I think it'll be a lot. I think it'll be probably 13, 12, hovering around there. I do think Detroit is still going to win a boatload of games, and I know there are some dissenting opinions in that area, but I do think Dan Campbell is a damn good coach, and I know they've had some brain drain, but I think they've had a really good squad built for a while now. I think their GM is legit. I think Campbell's legit. I think the offense will still be lethal and still be able to run the ball. I think they're still really good up front on both defensive and offensive lines, and that's where you win games, right? So, yeah, I still think it's going to take 11, 12, 13 games. So give me 12. Let's say that. I'll put it right in the middle there. 12 games. Menace. Oh, I like it. Just a reminder, Al Harris intercepted that ball in 07 versus Dallas. You damn right, Menace. How are you, man? Thanks for joining the stream. Any Packers schedule leaks yet? Nothing that I've seen. I'm hopeful we'll start to get some starting probably late tomorrow, maybe Wednesday morning, but nothing that I've seen as of yet. I know we're supposed to get announcements for the international games tomorrow. So I guess there's a very, very small chance we might get an announcement that the Packers are playing in Ireland. I don't think that's going to occur. Does sound like that's either going to be the Seahawks or the Vikings, but if they are going to be playing the Steelers over the pond, we'll find out about it tomorrow. Other than that, no, it's been a pretty tight ship over there at 12 or 345 Park. Sorry, I forgot their address there for a second, but I haven't seen anything. Maybe somebody in the chat has seen something, but as of right now, here at 5:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have not seen any leaks. Ed, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Have to admit, after this draft, other teams that know that there is no way they can beat Green Bay are hiding it well. I'm sure there's probably like a group text chat where they're all like, all the GMs for the opponents, especially in the NFC North, are like, man, Packers are going to be tough this year. I have zero doubt that that is the case. Speaking of the NFC North and taking on teams in the division, I want to give a reminder, or actually an announcement, somewhat kind of a reminder, for our Patreon members and Carry the G Club members here on YouTube. Tomorrow, in lieu of our normal happy hour, we are having our very first and possibly only, depending on how horrible this goes, but retro watch party. We'll be watching the 1995 Minnesota versus Green Bay game in Lambeau Field. I believe it was week 8. We'll be watching that tomorrow. So if you're a Patreon member, a Carry the G Club member, come hang out 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, the normal happy hour time. The information is on the Patreon pages and the Carry the G Club page, the post page here on YouTube. You'll have the link. You can hang out. We're going to watch the game together. I will undoubtedly have a bit of a truncated version of the game. We're not going to watch all 3 hours, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I wanted to start with a game, the year before they won the Super Bowl, but several years into Favre starting, he's a bit kind of where Jordan Love should be heading into, I would say, in 2025. So that was kind of my thought process there. So that's the game we're going to be watching. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come on by tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. What else we got here, folks? Oh, here we go. Bo with a leak or an announcement. Packers at Bears week 16 on Saturday per rap sheet. Ian Rappaport, you sure you're not getting like, one of those old, what do you call him? Remember when, what's his name? The guy from Barstool used to do like a pretend. Oh, here we go. Nope, there we go. Fox Sports says we're bringing the heat in week 16 with a can't miss doubleheader. Packers at Bears, Saturday, December 20th. So a Saturday game late into the schedule. Eagles at Commanders, Packers at Bears. Does that mean we get the late slot? I like that. I'm down with that. Unless they're playing those at the same time. That would be terrible. But yes, I like Packers at Bears late in the season. Let's go. I am down with that. Come on now. What else we got here, folks? Daniel says, I have faith that this new season, the Green Bay Packers will be the better team on both defense and offense, and we could compete with NFC teams. Go Pack, go. Daniel, I sense that last part you're talking about all of the games we got up for when they were, quote unquote, going against the better teams, and the Packers had disappointing outcomes. I think a significant component of the Packers' improvement when it comes to the better teams, so to speak, is just getting out of their own way. Whether it's fumbling the ball early in contests, whether it's committing really ill-timed penalties, whether it's missing kicks, things of this nature where you're really just beating yourself, which is what they did a lot of against the Eagles, the Vikings, the Lions, all last season. If they just play clean games against those opponents, they'll win those games. Of that, I have zero doubt. John Dale says or asks, does that rule out Xmas Day game if we play on the 20th? I wouldn't say totally. I wouldn't put it past the NFL to have them turn around that quick, but it would make it a lot less likely. Let's put it that way. It's the NFL. Of course, they'll play those two games at the same time. They might, but I think Fox would probably rather have it on, one after the other. But you might be right. Craig, thanks for the super chat, man. Rate the division's best to worst for intra-division competition. NFC North equals 1. What order after that? I say AFC West equals 2. Go Pack, go. Woo! That's a lot, man. And look, we all know, yes, the AFC West is tough because of the Chiefs, has been for a while. I think you'd probably say the AFC South was at the bottom. But in between, it's hard because teams do traditionally, maybe not stay the same, but like you can get a handle on, okay, this team's probably going to be good. But man, things change in the NFL so quickly. And teams that you think are good or will be good in September, you get to November and they're just a train wreck. Now, sometimes it's because of injuries, but also sometimes it's just because they're nowhere near as good as you thought they were. So it's hard for me to like just cast a wide net like that. But I will say the NFC North, as tough as it appeared last year, they were all one and done in the playoffs. Maybe they weren't that tough. And that's the thing. Like NFL is not for long. When you say a team is tough, well, yeah, they were tough last year. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be tough this next season. It's hard, man. It's a transient league, and that's why teams that do stay on top and play, deep into the playoffs year in year out are pretty special and very, they're not the norm. That's why I wish Packers fans would appreciate that a little bit more. So I've always talked about like you remember those odd Januaries where the Packers were out of the playoffs. That sucks, man. Some teams live there. Packers usually don't. And that's something that should be appreciated. Abdul, thanks for the super chat, man. Hey, Aaron, at the time, we dismissed them as haters, but looking back, do you think Jennings and Finley were telling the truth about Rodgers? Woo, that's a can of worms right there, Abdul. I think they're telling the truth from their perspective. I think it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? What they told us was true from a certain point of view. Now, you can also turn around and look at and point to and cite a litany of dudes who have come through 1265 Lombardi, who played with Aaron Rodgers, who absolutely adore him and think he's a phenomenal teammate and would swear on their children's lives that there's never been a better leader, a better teammate, etc. So, I think there's probably a clash of personalities there, and certainly what their reality was. I'm not going to sit here and dismiss it. I'm not going to say it was not legit because it was their experience, right? But I do think it's a bit personal, and I do think it's a bit, hard to sit here and say, "Oh, they were right." Well, they were right for their perspectives from their experiences, But does that make, Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, are they wrong? I don't think so. I think it's just, I don't know, it's too slippery a notion, this idea of trying to judge a person's character and who they are, right? And that's what people try to do with Rodgers. I don't, pretend to know the man very well, but I have spoken with him and I've had interactions with him. I've talked to him on occasion. And, I can see people really gravitating to him and really kind of buying in with what he has to say and things of that nature. But I also understand like a guy maybe like Greg Jennings and his point of view and saying, well, this, that, and the other thing weren't very good and we're not a great leader, whatever. Yeah, well, it's his experience. So yeah, it's a long-winded way of saying, no, I don't think it makes them right. I think that was their perspective, and that's totally legit and theirs. I don't dismiss it. I certainly don't do that. Menace. Teammates hated Michael Jordan too. I mean, okay, kind of. But yes, there was certainly there was some friction at times. But I think sometimes that friction is a good thing and produces results. Certainly did in Jordan's case, right? Brandy, I like it. Finding creative ways to block a safety in the run game is what I'm looking forward to. Well, hey, you talk about seeing probably, a potential for more safeties in the box after how productive Josh Jacobs was last year. You're probably going to see some of that. You're probably going to have to get guys on the second level or releasing out of the backfield to get that safety on the ground or pancaked or what have you. I do think that's something they're going to see a little bit more of this year. Tulio asked if I have talked about Halfley's availability. I spoke about his ability to communicate and his teaching ability at the start of the stream. Really like what you hear from Halfley every time he takes the mic, no doubt about it. For the most part, though, he's still, somewhat couched in coach speak. He's never going to give too much away, but I do love listening to him, no doubt. Joe, well said, man. Rodgers was and is a complicated fella, as Ted Thompson coined so many years ago. Andrew Ware, Lebowski watch party. Let's go one step at a time here, buddy. Let's get the game retro watch party done, and let's see how that goes before we start watching movies. Hopefully, maybe later this offseason. One thing at a time. Tulio, yes, Halfley did say Cooper has gained weight, looks different, is bigger, approaching 240 pounds. We'll see if he plays at the same speed, is able to still make the same kind of athletic kind of plays that he did last year at a bigger, higher weight. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see him on the field, starting to get physical. I think more important about what Halfley said regarding Cooper, outside of the weight, yeah, he's bigger. That's good. Hopefully that, like I said, that doesn't affect his physicality, his athleticism, etc. But what I found interesting was his talking about, he knows how to keep himself healthy. He did spend a lot of time on the sideline injured last year. And that to me speaks to a guy who not only put on weight, muscle, what have you, but probably took to heart and probably is a little bit more professional about his nutrition, his diet, what his workout regime is in relation to that. And that's becoming a pro, right? And hopefully that manifests itself in his being able to stay on the field throughout 2025, because he can be, we've talked about it here a lot, he can be a very special player if he becomes consistent and plays consistently. When is the Retro Watch Party again? Corey, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll be on the information is on the Patreon page or the Carry the G Club membership page here on YouTube. All right, everybody. Oh, John Dale getting a last second super chat in. Please replay a Lynn Dickey Lofton Kaufman game. Oh, John, trust me, it is in the hopper. That is in the mix without question. I have a few in mind, but we will undoubtedly, if this one works tomorrow, this is the caveat. If all goes well tomorrow, we will do it again, and we will 100% be watching a Lynn Dickey game. I promise you that. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to get going. I cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor and hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family, Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.